Hey, scrappy people, Tracy Reed here today, coming at you with a 12 by 12 layout using the Cocoa Daisy Sundrenched collection. This is my third layout with this kit, so I'm starting to run out a little bit of embellishments. I still have a lot of semi-transparent embellishments like the rub-ons, but this is a very busy background paper that I really truly wanted to embrace. So I want to make sure that, you're not going to be able to see anything that's semi-transparent on this background. So I'm going to make a statement with my patterns instead of a ton of embellishments. So I'm trying to decide, I folded the corner of this paper and I'm trying to decide what I want in the background. And I decided to go with this grid paper, this black and white. I really love the contrast of the sort of stark black and white grid with this floral paper. I popped the corner that I folded up on foam tape so that there was a little lift in the page. I thought maybe I would put layer things underneath that that flap, but I decided not to in the end, so it just provides a little bit of lift. I did reprint my photos just slightly smaller. I decided that the actual 4x6s were too large for this composition specifically, and I want to add in some more of this grid paper to create some more contrast on the page. So I'm going to mat my photos on this paper. And I'm going to mat them all as one piece rather than separate mats. So they're going to go down as one solid piece rather than staggering them. You know, if you watch my videos, that I normally don't have really clean lines when it comes to how I layer my photos. There's a lot of overlapping. There's a lot of layers going on. So I'm trying to break out of my box just a little bit and try something a little bit cleaner with this page. And it does come out pretty clean looking considering that wild paper that I'm using. And I decide to mat this whole thing on a 6x8 paper. And I'm gonna go with this ombre stripe. I did take it off for just a second because I'm going to debate what I want to do with it, but I'm going to match the striped paper in the background, or I guess in the flap, to the matted paper. So we've got 3 different paper patterns going on here. They're all repetitive and sort of re-emphasizing each other throughout the page. I'm going to use this journal card for my journaling, obviously. And I will admit, I started struggling with the composition of this just a little bit. I think mainly because I couldn't do a lot of layering with the page because I didn't have a lot that wasn't a flower to go on this page, and there's already enough flowers. And then the clean lines, the solid straight lines, yeah, they threw me for a loop a little bit. That's happened sometimes when you start to do things that are a little bit different than your norm. But in just a second, you'll see what I do that really changes the game and helps me to bring this page together in a way that I really like. So I'm going to layer this card here, but I feel like there's the problem that I'm having, and the reason that I was struggling a little bit was this weird gap between the flap in the page and my composition. So I have this sitting down straight, and I have this weird place where that angle sort of points down at the ampersand that I would normally just layer. And I was struggling real hard with what I would layer there because I didn't have a lot of things to layer. So I cut down this best trip ever. And that's initially what I was going to put behind the ampersand, but I decided that I didn't like the way that it looked. There were too many words in the same place, so I decided instead that I was going to put it up underneath this flap up here. And I'm going to mat it on this red just to bring a little bit more color up into that space. Kind of matches and brings the 2 main colors of the floral paper up into that corner. So I'm just going to go ahead and use my scissors and snip it at an angle instead of trying to shove it underneath the page. And then I'm going to make sure that everything's just a little bit wonky and not on a straight line here. Perfect. Now I can start adding in some of these die cuts. I can add flowers up here, especially these black and white ones, because they are not going to bring up too much color here. But I did struggle. Again, I'm just having a little bit of a hard time with having options for this page since there's so much floral stuff going on. I really wanted to use this leaf, but I just could not get it at an angle that I really liked. I'm definitely going to go with that floral there, and I'm going to put the leaf everywhere I can possibly put it. I'll figure it out, don't worry. So I'm kind of looking through my stash here and trying to find some things that will work on this page. I can add flowers and more color up here, but again, any sort of color that I add to the main floral paper is just gonna get lost. So I'm trying to lean towards like the black and whites and things like that on this page. This sticker here is just gonna kind of hover since there is that fold. I don't know. I think I leave it like that in the end, but I'm gonna have to put some foam tape underneath it. So you can see me struggle here, and I'm just like, what am I gonna do? This is just not coming together the way that I want it to. And so what I actually do is I turn off the camera and oh look, there's the foam tape. I turn off the camera and then I leave it overnight and I come back to it, which is what I do sometimes when I'm really on the struggle bus. You can see I'm just struggling with that leaf especially. So here we are the next day, and I had an epiphany overnight, and voila, this brings the whole thing together, makes it easier for me to like deal with, I guess, makes it easier for me to visualize the end product. So I'm going to take some of this black washi tape, this really thin, cute black washi tape, and I'm going to put it in a couple of places just to re-emphasize some of the black that is in the embellishments and in the black and white paper back there. And I cannot decide where to put it. We're going to put it here, and then we're going to do a matching one at the bottom, hopefully not that long. And then I'm going to add a title down here as well. We're just really going for those straight lines. Now that we're at an angle though, it makes more sense to me. I'm not quite sure why. I just think it's because now that flap is going with the composition instead of working against it. So you can see I'm trying to add in some of these florals, but they're just not quite working. I think I end up adding in maybe one or two, I'm not sure, but they sort of get lost in the background. I might make it work. I'm gonna add a couple of these tabs. We're just again going with the more linear stuff to give this some strong lines above that wild paper that I just love so much. I love working with wild patterns. I know that wild patterns or things that make a bold statement are hard for a lot of people, which is why I like to embrace them a lot in my pages and in my videos, so that you can see that your wild papers, the really intense ones, can actually work with your composition really well, and it doesn't have to work against you. It's just about knowing how to bring your photos and your journaling and all of that up off of the page so that they don't fade into the background or get overwhelmed by all of that color. Okay, we're putting two tabs here, and I'm going to put this floral sort of mostly around that tab. I think with the blue and the white outline, it stands out just enough. And I'm going to do the same thing over here for some matchiness. Maybe there. Nope, we're gonna go up here. I do end up putting a little bit of stuff underneath the flap, just barely. Okay. Now I'm gonna add in my title. I'm gonna use both the yellow alphabet and the black and white bold alphabet. The black and white one matches that ampersand. Of course, it's the same font, so it works out really well. Then the yellow stands out from that background too. So it's flowers in our hair. We were in Hawaii, of course, at a wedding, and I had a clip-in flower in my hair, so my husband pulled his flower out of his drink. At Alani, they put one of those flowers in every single drink that you order. So he pulled it out of his drink and put it in his hair too. I like it when he's goofy. That is the gist of the journaling for this page as well. So I'm going to use these tabbed folders that came in the scrapbooking kit, and I'm actually just cutting off the excess folder. I'm not going to use them as folders. I felt like I needed a little bit more between the background and the cluster, so I'm using them just sort of as color blocking, and it extends the horizontal lines and the horizontal space of the central composition out just a little bit more. And then because they're basically the only things that are at an angle to the rest of the composition besides that best trip ever up there, they just throw off the straight lines just enough to make the whole composition really interesting. Sometimes the best thing that you can do is to just make one thing wonky, one or two things just outside the composition, and it really brings the whole composition home and makes it feel completed. Added a couple of these like journal prompt stickers from the memory keeping sticker set to the tabs. They fit perfectly in those little tabs. And I'm going to go through a few of the stickers. I thought that these would be fun to use because he's being goofy on this composition, plus they're black and white. I do have just a hard time, just a little one, with putting this one in the right place. Put it in a couple different places before I decide where I like it, because it's just kind of weirdly floating out there. I'm going to put this flower here since I have a place to put something other, or some other flowers, now that there's a little blue space between the foreground and the background. And then I'm going to go ahead and use these buttons. I'm really loving that these buttons were included in this collection. I hope that we get more like fun things like this that are a little bit different than the norm, because they were super cute to use. I used them on 2 different pages so far. And the last page I sewed them down. This page I'm just going to glue them down. So I'm not sure why, because I think that the black thread that I used in the last page would have been perfect in this page as well, but I think I just got lazy. Sewing down so many buttons, you kind of get tired after a while. So I'm making sure that I stick some in a few different places, including underneath the, sorry about my hair, including underneath the flaps, so that they are sort of decorative and making a little bit of a statement rather than blending in. And then I will just use my glue and glue them down. Make sure you get a strong glue for this. I don't use a strong glue on video because I'm still waiting for my Nuvo liquid glue to come in. I ordered liquid glue and ended up getting the wrong order, somebody else's order of yarn, so that order got canceled and I had to wait again. So if you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you. If you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Tracy and Reed. I'd love to see you over there as well. There's a link to Cocoa Daisy, an affiliate link to Cocoa Daisy, in the description box below if you're interested in starting a subscription, and I will see you next time. Thank you.